welcome. Patriot Radio News Hour. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday as we kick off 2025. The cold is here. I heard snow falling in the Rockies. I was talking to my mom the other day. She's frozen to a water pipe up there in New York as the big chill, I guess. Climate change, well, I guess the climate changed a whole lot colder for everybody out there. But hey, you know what? Put a little something extra in the coffee. You'll feel just fine. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. Of course, the physical delivery of wealth insurance. You may want some. As the Chinese, by the way, the Chinese already announced their December. They wanted everyone to know as they piled into gold again. Everybody, I hope you're paying attention. I hope you're getting ready. AllAmericanGold.com. That is the website. And I don't know if you saw, Jason, because I know you're trying to just battled just to get to work today. But Mark Zuckerberg, good old Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, Facebook and all of their other little social media darlings. Apparently now they were just kidding. And they decided that, you know what, maybe we should get rid of the fact-checking program that has been in effect. He didn't say it the way I'm going to say it, but I'm going to say it. Oh, well, depending on what your belief is, depends on what you think the facts are, saying that they're going to bring back political content and eliminate its quote-unquote third-party fact-checking program. See, this is why people listen here. Because the one good thing, I guess, about this show, Jason and I, we do 2 more hours after this show. You go to 1360khnc.com and stream us in. You can go to Rumble. We can't put this show on. We can actually, I guess, we could put this show on Rumble. I think we do. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I don't know. We're on YouTube. Like, we can be on YouTube on this show because we don't really, delve into the half-empty cup, right? That's a Rumble only, right? Yeah, YouTube, they'd be like, oh, my God. They'd flip out like every other show. But according to Zuckerberg, they made the change to restore free expression. Yes, as they are calling it, and move to, quote, community notes model similar to what is happening on Elon Musk's platform X. And, oh, by the way, Dana White is now on the board of Meta. So, Jason, I guess, hey, we'll censor if the government tells us to, but if there's a change, then apparently they won't. But I did like, here's a quote from Zuckerberg on this. He said that they reached a point where it was just too many mistakes and too much censorship. So that was why it was out of the goodness of his heart. I'm not sucking up to Trump, right? He didn't say that, right? I'm not sucking up to Donald Trump. He didn't say that. He was just, there was too many mistakes. So I guess that means we were censoring the truth, right? I guess, right? If you censored something and then you called it a mistake, I guess that would mean that you censored the truth. And of course, which means what? The stuff you were putting out there wasn't probably the truth. But anyway, too politically biased and destroyed more trust than they've created, especially here in the United States, according to Zuckerberg and Meta. So I guess apparently now you can all go back on Facebook and say whatever you want.
Yeah, I have a different spin on that. I don't trust Elon Musk at all. I think he's controlled opposition. And so when Zuckerberg had his Trump meeting, well, I don't get the feeling that Musk was a part of that meeting or in some fashion.
Well, you know what?
And then I think Trump sat down with Zuckerberg and said, by the way, there's a reason that Musk wants everyone to blabber on. We can't make a record on these people if we don't let them blabber on. So you might make a lot more money and have a lot more clout if you let these people blabber on. So we have this record on all these citizens. And Zuckerberg's
like, yeah, about how much money we'll even pay you for that. We'll pay you for the data.
Right.
Look, you'll collect a fortune.
I think Zuckerberg just was not seeing the light. I think this is why Musk, I guess, gets the bigger money, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And by the way, whatever you call his 5,000 square foot underground compound, do not call it a bunker. That is not true. Just saying, I fact-checked it with Zuckerberg himself, and apparently it is not a bunker. No, it's just 5,000 square feet underground. See, different, Jason, totally different.
I'll just call it Archie. How's that? Just call it Archie.
Oh, man. Wow. 2025. I just love it, man. I love the start already. I mean, this is going to be another one of these very, very fun years. When we get back, bad news at the debt auctions. And then it got worse this morning when all the people in the service industry said, hey, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but stuff's getting expensive. Yeah, we'll be back. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason on this Tuesday. A quick look here at these markets. Right now, the Dow's up 30. The S&P's down 30. The NASDAQ's down 230. The 10-year note, 4.693, almost 4.7. 4.7 puts us at the highs of last year. So before the Fed started cutting rates, right, the high of last year, we're essentially there. Not where we're supposed to be. On top of it, just to give you an idea where we go, 490. We break 490. Now you're going to be talking about, we haven't seen 10-year note rates this high going all the way back to the financial crisis. So everybody better buckle up. We struggled the first auction of this year. Not a great start. We'll get to the details there in a minute. Oil is higher, up 68 cents, almost 74 and a quarter. Brent at 77. Gold's up 13, almost $14 now, 26.51. Silver up again. Silver's up about another 20 cents right now. And Jason, I think that more than ever, you better be the most diversified you have ever been. You're sitting on big IRAs. I know, I get it. But my financial advisor, every time I talk to him, he says, oh, you don't want to buy gold. Buy stocks. Listen, stocks are great. People sometimes think Jason and I are anti-stock. We're not. Not at all. But you got to manage the risk. And the risk is, this is probably the highest risk we've had going back to the financial crisis. That's literally where we're at right now. If you haven't called to set up your precious metals IRA, what are you waiting for? Right, here's the best part. First of all, you can do it penalty. There's no penalty. There's some paperwork. Yes, you may have to, your financial guy may cry a little bit. He'll get over it. He'll get over it. And here's the great part. You determine how much you want to put in there. Right? You may say, gosh, I got $1 million in this IRA, or I got $5 million in this IRA. I'm going to put 10%. I'm going to put 20% of it into gold. Somebody may say, hey, I'm going to put more into it. But it's simple. The fees are so, what a great thing about how little it costs when you have it in precious metals. All the fees, like we talked about this the other day. It's like $500 to set up the account. And none of that's for us. We just provide the gold and the silver. But you pay an annual, you know what your fees are annually? You pay an annual storage fee. That's it. It's like $125. That's all you pay. That's all the fee. There's no commissions. There's no, I sat there and looked at your gold. Give me 1% of your money. None. No. Call us. We can help you. 800-951-0592. And Jason, the trouble in the bond market, it started yesterday, the first auction of the year. And, well, we got a big tail. The auction was 3-year paper. So this should have been an easy hurdle, right? So what does that mean when I say, well, the shorter dates should be easier. We expect tails on the 30-year, the 20-year, the 10-year, because, well, that's risking a lot. Especially, think about this. Who was it? It was either J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, one of the big guys, maybe B of A, was like, hey, listen, guys, by the end of Donald Trump's term, the national debt is going to be above $50 trillion. Matter of fact, they said above, $51 trillion and change, and I think that's being kind. So think about, right, you're like, geez, if that's in 4 years, what's the debt going to be like in 10 years? I don't know if I want to, lend out that kind of money. So the 3-year note should have been somewhat easy. It wasn't. A 12 basis point tail, the 4th consecutive tail at this auction. You got to remember, so every month these auctions repeat themselves. And then every 3 to 6 months, we get matter of fact, we're going to get one from the Treasury at the end of this month, beginning of next month, that they're going to make them bigger. But this was the biggest tail going back to April of the bid to cover. It was okay, right? It was in line with where they've been, maybe even a little better. The problem was the internals were terrible. Dealers, which normally take about 12% of this auction, maybe 15, they had to take 20. So that all that means is, man, that tail was going to be a whole lot longer, wasn't it, Jason? If the dealers didn't step in. And, of course, that just means rates move up. Then this morning, the ISM came out, and this is really what got the 10-year note skyrocketing in yields because they said that the prices paid, which is really, okay, so what are they saying about inflation? It came in at 64.4. So in these reports, I don't know why they do it this way, but they do. Anything above 50 means it got more expensive, okay? November, it was at 58. And the problem was October and September, it was like 55. All of a sudden now, Jason, we're all the way back up to 64 and really almost 65. This is, and you think about the United States, we're the service economy, right? That's what they tell us. So this is the big part of the economy saying not only is it high, but it's getting a lot higher, and this drove up the yields. This is why we're talking about 10-year note now. Going to be breaking 470. Look out for 490. I've already told you we're going to 5+, but we're going to have the highest rates that we haven't seen before we really decided to hell with fiscal responsibility. Think about this. We're going to go to rates back when the debt was only $5 trillion, and now it's approaching $40 trillion, and now we've got to pay this kind of interest on $40 trillion. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, and well, the Fed's dropping their rates. They're going to try to make it cheap for the government if they can, and I think that's what we talked briefly about that in the past, that we might be moving into a world where it's cheap for the government, but not for everybody else, right? Everybody else is going to pay these huge. Are we going to have 10% and 12% mortgage rates, Joe? Or are we heading for that? While the government gets to borrow at 2%, or something like that, right, Joe?
I don't know. It's interesting. That would be a complete breakdown in the system completely. Jamie Dimon thinks that it sounds ridiculous. A mortgage at 10%? That sounds ridiculous. But guess what, guys? We're already at 7%. We're already at 7%. Remember, Jamie Dimon kept talking. He keeps talking about it too. An 8% 10-year note. I can't. That's not doable. It can't happen. I mean, I'm just sitting there thinking about what would the debt interest payments be at 6%. You're talking about, I don't know, what would $2.4 trillion, $2.5 trillion. That would just be the interest. Something is getting ready to snap here. Remember, the 10-year note was at 3.6 when Jay Powell started cutting. He cut rates 50 basis points. 50. And all of us were like, whoa, because we were expecting 25. He cut it 50. What did the 10-year note do? It went back above 4. Then he cut it twice more for another 50. And now the 10-year note is yielding 4.7 on its way to 5. And the Fed still on. Let's not lie here. The Fed still says they're cutting rates next year. They're still saying that. Right now, they're saying, hey, listen, guys, we're not going to cut 6 times, right? They're not going to do that. But they're still saying, hey, right now, the markets, depending on who you talk to, hey, they're going to cut twice. Some people say 3, 1 to 3. How about that? The hawks out there say 1. Most people say 2. Some people say 3. And, of course, the inflation data says they shouldn't be cutting at all, right? I mean, when you look at it. But, again, remember what I said last year. Remember what I told you last year? Do you? The 10-year note is going to go as high as it needs to crush this market. That is what's coming. And I don't care what Jay Powell says or what the Federal Reserve does. Look at right now. Now, right now, they're trying to play it off, aren't they, Jason? Well, the markets, they move. It's like people with climate change. Oh, my God, the weather changes? Yeah. But, Jason, this is a clear path now that the bond market is telling the world we've got a debt problem right now. And really, here's the thing, too much debt, and really the Fed can tell us they've got all these tools in the tool chest. But, Jason, we all know it's the same tool. It's called the debt tool. That's what they use.
Yeah, and when things get difficult inside that system, usually it's print their way out of it. And we know that, we got some history, and all the debt was piling up for World War II. they inflated their way out of it. This is going to be the playbook. We'll see how that looks, because this is a much different situation than 1945. But it sure looks like print.
Yeah, I mean, oh my Lord. I mean, the debt at the end of World War II, what was it, like $250 billion, right? Something like that. But this is something, and again, I think a lot of people are going to be very, very surprised, and it's hard. People that want to buy a home, it just got more expensive. People that want to buy a car, it just got more expensive. These credit card rates, they're already ridiculous, and get ready for even more. And how about this? And this is just a sign, because the Fed, they try to give the best inflation number possible. 85% of consumers talking about the frustration with rising grocery prices. And I hate to tell you guys, it's not coming down. Expect higher grocery prices again this year. And that's before tariffs. I mean, I don't know if he's going to hit the food stuff with tariffs, but when we look at what's coming, I hope you're getting ready. Get diversified. 800-951-0592. 800-951-0592. It's just overwhelming, the amount of debt that needs to be sold. They have two, a morning auction and an afternoon auction, and the morning auction is kind of like, hey, this is just keeping us going here. Do you know, like yesterday as an example, $164 billion. Then they had to go and sell that 3-year note. So just to give people an idea, they had to sell $75.8 billion in 6-year notes, and $88.5 billion in 3-month treasuries. See, this is where Warren Buffett lives. This is where Apple and Michael, right? They very short-term stuff. And 3 to 6 months, they get good yields, right? They take advantage of it, blah, 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 blah. Then in the afternoon, then they got to sell the long stuff. So like yesterday alone, we're having to sell $200 billion of debt in a single day. In the next 4 to 5 weeks, that's not going to be enough. Right? And they just drip it in there. We'll add $1 billion to this one. We'll add $2 billion to that one. $3 billion to this one. $4 billion to that one. Wash, rinse, and repeat. This is where we are in this debt cycle, and they gave us the illusion, Jason, that they could control stuff with interest rates, right? That's what they told us. We can control the job market. We can control inflation, right? We can control everything with interest rates. I think we're going to find out that was a lie. Matter of fact, that's exactly what we're finding out. And once the market loses faith in that, look out. Right now, gold's up 15, 26.52. Remember, yesterday, it was Monday, we had 50 20s that were at 26.50. We still have 30 of them. So yesterday you were buying them for like $9, $10 below spot. Today we're going to leave it there till they're gone. We got $30, $20 gold pieces. Right now, okay, 26.51 right at this exact second. $1 under spot right now. So the last 30 20s, $2,650 at 800-951-0592. And we'll see, Jason, right, as we look at where are things headed. And I think we kind of laid out, both of us have very similar trajectories as far as they're going to have to try to spend their way out. That's the choice they've made. Is it the right choice or the wrong choice? Jason, there was no right choice. There was just two bad choices, right? So pick the one that you wanted, right? You could die real fast and have the Fed actually do its job and fight inflation, right? Have the 10-year note right now, I don't know, 6 or 7%. Unemployment would be skyrocketing, right? We'd be in, recession. There'd be talk of depression. Or, hey, we'll just have you die slower, right? And that is trying to inflate our way out and give you the illusion that it's not happening. Even, let's face it, they don't even really, well, they do. They just don't tell us the number. They actually track the real inflation number. They just don't share it. Right? They always seasonally adjust and don't count this. And, well, if that's too expensive, they'll just buy something cheaper so that way it's not as inflationary, all that nonsense that they like to do. And even that, Jason, is going now back in the wrong direction. Just like we said, we had said last year, hey, don't be surprised. We're going to have inflation go down for a little bit, but it's going to come right back. And now the spending is going to have to really open up because the Treasury's going to be hitting the debt ceiling, next week? Debt ceiling next week, emergency measures after that, then the inauguration. And then, Jason, at that point, they're going to have to come to a deal about how much more money they're going to spend.
Yeah, inflation's kind of like a wave, Joe, right? Or being off balance and trying to correct. If you look at the inflation charts of the 70s, you'll see this spike in inflation. Then it comes down and it spikes back up, and it does it several times. With the amount of printing that went on in 2020, there's no way that this isn't going to slosh to the other side of the ball, right? It's going to happen, and I think that's why the 50-point basis drop. And the 2 quarter points, I think the Fed's trying to take advantage of the middle part, right, Joe? They're trying to take advantage of that middle part because they know that they may have to raise rates tremendously. So, for better or for worse, however you want to understand how our government and these big bankers and these corporations work, any chance to take advantage of any opportunities in the markets to make money, they'll do so. And so, as Joe said earlier, there really is no reason to be dropping rates. It's just that's not common sense thinking when it comes to inflation. I think the inflation is going to come back. It was always going to come back. History shows that it always comes back. It never just spikes up and just goes away. It always spikes, and usually 3 spikes. Sometimes with the 70s, Joe, they thought they had it under control there in the mid to late 70s, and then the late 70s and early 80s, it just came back again, right? Every time they dropped the rates, it just kept coming back. And, there's a part of me is like, are they lowering the rates so they can roar this thing back? Inflation, there's a lot of opportunities to make money in a boom or a bust cycle. And if you own a lot of assets that are inflation-proof, so to speak, they go up with inflation, you can do really, really, really well with inflation, Joe. So we're going to watch it. We're going to watch it. I'm thinking this year, but it might not flare to its worst part till next year. But I think we'll see it. Look, it's already kind of climbing right now, right?
Boy, that's it's good a chance as any, And I want to correct one thing, because inflation used to do what they were trying to claim. Hey, it shot up, but it's going to go back down. Do you know when inflation did that? It only does it in one form of monetary system, and that's the gold system. The only inflation America would go through on the gold system was war, and of course that made sense, right? Here comes war, right? We're going out. People, instead of, getting out the crops or going to work, they're out there fighting. And you have. But as soon as the war would end, guess what? Boom! inflation immediately went away. Not anymore. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Gold's up 17 now. 26.54. $20 gold pieces. 26.50. So now $4 under spot at 800-951-0592. Remember, this is a great day to trade as well. If you're looking at, man, I don't want to worry about selling back my gold and 1099s and the government, I got to add it to my income. I got to pay and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. I want to be on the honor system. That's $20 gold. You can buy or sell as many $20, $10, $5 pre-1933 U.S. gold as you want. And it's, here's a check, here's a bank wire, have a nice day. Right, so you're on the honor system. You come in and you've got, gold bars and Krugerrands and Maple Leafs. And remember, all gold with the exception of pre-1933 U.S. minted gold is considered bullion by our government. Well, the tax laws are different for bullion. I didn't do it. They did. It's not me. It's them. So it's pretty simple. If you want to trade out today, we can help you do that. It'll barely cost you anything because I got $20 gold right now under spot at 800-951-0592. And Jason, that's the thing, a lot of people just sit there and it's like Costco, hey, I love the gold bars. It's great. It's great. Of course, once you get above 3 gold bars, you got a problem. And who knows, before this year is over, it may not even be that many. So be smart out there. Know what you're doing. 800-951-0592. Oh, by the way, make that 26.55. So we've gotten 26.55. $20 gold at $2,650. We did get JOLTS data. It was December, so not a big shock. Oh, my God, there is jobs out there in December, but it was higher than they expected, which also didn't help, obviously, after the inflation number coming out of the ISM. And then the news that really got gold kicked off today came out of China. The Chinese back to officially reporting gold sales. When we look at this, they added 5 tons last month, almost 10 tons this month, so they almost doubled the purchases, and now have over 73 million ounces of gold, 73.3 to be exact. We won't get the other data for several more weeks on all the other nations. But, Jason, the story continues, right? Where do you put your money, right? Where is the safest place to be? How much risk should you take? What is the market's going to do? And, that's the one thing, let's face it. Nobody knows exactly what markets are going to do, but that's the one thing that we try to help with is minimizing risk. When you're talking about being diversified in this market and understanding what's at stake here, follow the lead. There's a reason why all of these countries are doing this. Listen, I wasn't alive in the 60s when banks or central banks were buying gold left and right. We've outpaced what they were doing then. Remember, that's why Richard Nixon closed the gold window in 1971, because we were going to run out of gold. Jason, this is the 60s on steroids right now, what these central banks are doing.
Yeah, the accumulation from the top down is going to be extreme. You know, we've been talking for how many years now, Joe, that central banks buying. Countries like China buying, and amassing. And, I could say right now, retail gold and silver, the average guy, you guys listening, you guys are not buying. And usually when the retail goes super sluggish like it is, the spot price will eventually be affected by that, at least a little bit. But really what that spot price is reflecting is these huge, big gold contracts and the amount of huge amounts of gold being shipped to different countries or different banks. And it's not stopping, Joe. It's not stopping. So I know there's a lot of people that need to sell. There's a lot of people that are selling gold and silver. If you're in one of those positions that, hey, I really, really don't want to sell my gold and silver, I totally get it. But there's a reason you bought that gold and silver. If you're in a tough spot, it's savings. You were saving it for when you needed it. The people that sell gold and silver, Joe, I tell you, you can tell they get that seller's guilt when they come in. Oh, I really didn't want to do this. I always tell us, well, just think about the guy that doesn't have it and doesn't even have the option to cash it in, right, Joe? So it's going to be, we're in a process that if you can buy right now, you are in a huge advantage. Because the system is saying sell your stuff. It's the markets are getting tight. The prices of everything's going up. Give it up, right? And Joe, we've been seeing it. Less retail buying and a lot of retail selling.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you this though. Here's what's different. The one thing is, Jason's right. It used to be, right? Hey, without the U.S. buyers, right, the gold market suffers. Basically what's happened is the Eastern world said, we don't give a crap if the U.S. is buying or not. Yep. We're going to be buying. And so it's really changed the complexion of the markets too, tremendously. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Patriot News Hour. Joe and Jason wrapping up this Tuesday. Whatever, if you can do it, don't wait. Whatever's left here. We got the girls on the phone. $20 gold pieces. $2,650 right now. Last look here at gold right now, up 16. 26.53. So you are now below spot on 20s today. The Dow's down 50. The S&P's down 45. The Nasdaq's down 283. As that 10-year note 469. As we struggled with the afternoon auction yesterday, we'll see how this afternoon's auction goes. If it's another tough one, we can definitely see rates tomorrow, Jason, above 4.7. And don't forget, we get jobs numbers tomorrow. So it starts tomorrow. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday being the big day, that government jobs number. It could be a wild one because, the government seasonally adjusts everything because they think we're stupid and can't figure out that people get employed over the holidays. But we did know a lot of the retailers out there hired less people. They weren't doing the hiring that they normally did. So we may get it out. I'm not saying that we are, but if we do get an outlier, like, there was a really low number of jobs, I'm not going to be overly concerned. I'll think that'll be more them not being able to control their numbers. But you never know. Who knows? We could have anything over the next 3 days. Yeah, you're not on, Jason. Oh, now you are. You're back. You're back now. You're good. Okay.
Buy that special.
Yeah, the special's where it's at, $2,650. Just know this. They don't want a big number. Keep that in mind. The lower the jobs, the more happy the market will be. The bigger the jobs number, the worse it's going to be. So if we get a big, 300,000, something like that, we're going to see that 10-year note go even higher. And really, like I said, I think 5% is kind of already baked in the cake. I think 490 for sure, because that'll match the high. I want to say that occurred very briefly for a millisecond in 2023. If we go above that, Jason, we'll be talking about rates that we have not seen going back to the financial crisis, going back to 2007, going back to 2008. The problem is, the debt was 5 or 6 trillion then. It's almost 40 trillion now, and the amount of interest that is coming due, I get it. It's tough. It's one of those things where even if Trump is successful in getting some of this government waste out of the way, it's hard to see these deficit numbers. It's really hard for me to see them actually getting better. The debt's just going to grow because of the amount of interest we're being forced to pay. Patriot Radio News Hour. Jason and I, we're coming right back.